So again, continuing to track Dragon on its departure from the International Space Station. We had separation at 4:05 a.m. Eastern Time, exactly right on time.
And again, we'll continue our coverage through the spacecraft's exit of the approach ellipsoid. We're still in an orbital nighttime.
SpaceX Endeavour, comm check from the cabin lights.
And again,
And we have you loud and clear as well.
The big loop configuration allows, again, the two spacecraft in orbit, the Dragon that you see from this screen from one of the cameras on board the International Space Station. It's hard to see because we are in an orbital nighttime, so you can just see the navigation lights as well as the lights from the interior of the cabin through the center window there with the open nose cone. But everyone is talking, and that's part of the configuration once we're inside these joint operations spheres. We've been talking about the keep-out sphere, the approach ellipsoid. That big loop will be deconfigured shortly after exiting the approach ellipsoid, and the Dragon crew will just be operating on what's called Dragon to ground. It's a communication link between the inside the Dragon capsule and the teams here in Mission Control in Hawthorne.
As we heard before, the crew got the okay to doff or take off their suits. This allows them to be a little bit more comfortable in their seats, and as we go through the next phases, as you also heard on comms, it's about a 17-hour trip from undock to splashdown. So they don't need to wear their suits the whole time, and so right now we are tracking Dragon here on this shot, and the crew is doffing their suits and standing by for the next phase. Once again, we are standing by to exit the approach ellipsoid, which, as Gary mentioned, another imaginary shape out there by the ISS, measuring 4 kilometers by 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers. And big difference between it and the keep-out sphere is that the approach ellipsoid, the vehicles outside it have to be on a 24-hour safe free trajectory, meaning that the spacecraft would not cross into the approach ellipsoid for at least 24 hours, even if it lost all maneuvering capability. So we can see those dots from Dragon, those exterior lights, getting further and further away. We were able to see the Draco engines firing as they were performing departure burn number 1.
And again, those departure burns 0 and 1 allow the spacecraft to exit those two spheres. Kate and I have been talking about the keep-out sphere and approach ellipsoid. We're hearing from the teams, the flight control teams that are monitoring Dragon's progress, that the spacecraft has exited the approach ellipsoid. So again, the crew has doffed their suits. It allows a little bit more comfort as they begin their journey, which will take more than 17 hours from the time of undocking to the time they actually touch down in the Atlantic coast. It'll allow them time to eat, to sleep, to be comfortable, and enjoy the ride. So
take their last looks at planet Earth from their vantage point.
That's right, exactly.
Well, now that NASA astronauts Steve Bowen and Woody Hoburg, Emirati astronaut Sultan Alneyadi, and Rocosmos astronaut Andrey Fedyaev have departed the International Space Station, as you can see with that great half-lit shot there on your screen. It will take them about 17 hours until they're back on Earth. The crew is currently doffing their spacesuits to settle in for the flight home. And today, Dragon is targeted to splash down off the coast of Florida, as Gary just said, at 9:17 p.m. Pacific on September 3rd, or 12:17 a.m. Eastern, September 4th. And that will be followed by the crew getting picked up at sea by one of the SpaceX recovery vessels. As they rest up, our team teams here will continue to keep an eye on the weather to ensure a safe return to Earth for Dragon and our Crew-6 astronauts.
And though our coverage here in Hawthorne is wrapping up for tonight, we will turn it over to the NASA team in Houston to take us through the next phases of the Crew-6 mission. Our friends at the Johnson Space Center will provide continuous live audio-only coverage along Crew-6's journey home until we rejoin approximately an hour prior to splashdown. You can find the audio-only link by visiting nasa.gov/live and clicking the mission audio link, or by searching NASA's Mission Audio Live feed on YouTube.
Meanwhile, we will rejoin for live visual coverage starting roughly 1 hour prior to splashdown. As always, you can find mission updates on X at NASA, at SpaceX, and on the web at nasa.gov. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you real soon.
Let's watch my favorite part again, shall we?
As they rest up, our teams here will continue to keep an eye on the weather to ensure a safe return to Earth for Dragon and our Crew-6 astronauts.